To be sure you never miss a Tech Ninja video, tap on the bell icon right next to subscribe. Hey, what's up guys? This is Kevin the Tech Ninja, and this is the OnePlus 5. Now I've been using this phone since I got the phone a couple days after it came out, and it's a really good phone. And you guys probably know that. This isn't your first review you're watching, but I'm gonna tell you my favorite features about the phones and a couple things I didn't like about the phone and come up with a conclusion. I'm Kevin the Tech Ninja, and this is my OnePlus 5 full review. So the best thing about this phone, number one, is the price. For $479, you get a really great phone. And sure, this is the most expensive OnePlus phone ever, but regardless, for specs to price, there's nothing like it. Now I did opt for the more expensive version, which gave me a staggering 8 gigabytes of RAM, which is industry leading by far, but you gotta dig a little bit deeper paying $539. Although $479 does come with a healthy amount of RAM at 6 gigabytes, as of today, for price to specs, you're not getting anything close to this. You may have a couple other phones out there that are getting near this, but for a premium brand like OnePlus, you're not gonna get anything nearly as price to specs, period. Now, one thing that really sticks out to me about OnePlus, and we're really seeing it now, is that it still has that ROMers mentality. What I mean by that is that the software feels like stock, behaves like stock, but yet you have some really great features on top of it without the bloatware. Not only is their interpretation of Android fast, it's just super duper clean. In the settings, you can do several things to customize your experience, things that Android doesn't really have. So this phone does have a little slider on the side, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. Now I found that feature really useful for me because when I'm at work, I don't want my phone buzzing and ringing and all that stuff, but if my wife calls me, I do want it to ring through. So I have it set up just for that specific reason, and it works great. You can also add soft keys to the phone. So instead of tapping in the area next to the home button, you have the options to add the soft keys there for back and also the multitask button too. So if you're coming from Samsung where the buttons are reversed, you can make those buttons reverse too, which gives you a more familiar experience with the phone. And the last thing in here is gestures. Now what you can do with the gestures, which is really nice, is that you can do certain things like if your phone's ringing, you can flip it over, then you mute the phone. And also you can do things while your screen is off. So if you draw a circle, you can go to camera. If you draw a V, it goes to the flashlight. You can also set up different custom ones and drawing different shapes, and it can launch different apps, but those are the default apps that it has. It also has tap to wake, which you can just double tap on your phone and it wakes it up, but you can also have the option to pick up your phone and it wakes up, or if you have a message, then the AMOLED screen will only display the pixels that tells you what the message is to save on battery life too, which is really nice. Now the next thing I want to talk about is the camera, and OnePlus made a really big deal about the camera during their whole keynote, and it is a very good camera, but it's not perfect. Now if you compare it to the Pixel or the S8, you will definitely be disappointed, but on its own it's pretty solid. It's a bit soft around the edges, and I do feel the color isn't really great, but you are able to whip out some pretty nice images in the right circumstances. Now the 2x zoom does let you get in a little bit closer and grab the images, and I do prefer this over the wide angle that you're seeing with LG, but that's just me. The front-facing camera is pretty decent too, although it does have some dynamic range issues, as you can see over my shoulder here. But I did find that the details are pretty decent, and the selfie camera is actually better than the S8's, but the Pixel XL blows it out of the water. Now when it comes to video, there is a glaring issue, and it's just not stable. Now, when going to 4K, there is no assistance at all, not even software stabilization, so the video is very jumpy. Now, hopefully there's something that could push out some software stabilization for 4K video and maybe refine the software stabilization on the 1080p video, but regardless, this video portion of this phone just took a major step back, and I'm very disappointed with it. But overall, the camera is very fast, it's quick, it's reliable, the software is easy to use, and it's still OnePlus's best camera, and that's definitely saying a lot. Now, as far as usability with these beefy specs and this amazing hardware, you're gonna expect that usability is great, and there's no surprises here. Gaming, multitasking, all that stuff is amazing. The performance is so fast that it rivals the Pixel, which is unheard of up until now, even though the Pixel is almost a year old. And that goes back to the software. It's just buttery smooth and fast and very light. Now, there are people out there having issues with the scrolling where it's jelloing, but my phone does not have that issue. And OnePlus did say there's a fix going out to fix that, and hopefully it's pushed out fast. And I hope it's actually out before this video even comes out. I don't know. If you have that jelloing effect, let me know down below. I'm really interested to see how many devices this actually affects. But holding the device in the hand, it is metal and it's a little slippery. So you guys know what I'm gonna recommend. You go ahead and get yourself a D-brand skin, you slap it on the back. It makes your phone a little bit grippier, and I just love the dragon skin. Dragon skin all things is what I say. So hit the links down below, grab yourself a D-brand for whatever device you have. OnePlus did actually do a pretty nice trick on the back of the device. It's sort of curved a little bit, which makes it easier to sit in your hand versus the 3T, which is really blocky and kind of chunky, where it doesn't really contour to your hand that much. So OnePlus did make some enhancements that really helped it out. Of course, we're gonna dive into the hardware, and the hardware is great. The fingerprint sensor is amazingly fast. It is so fast and so accurate. I just love using this thing. I can just tap it and it lets me in. It's very fast. Does the phone look like an iPhone? Yeah, it does. But so what? iPhones sell very well, and I think the OnePlus wants to do the same by giving a familiar design, and I don't think nothing's wrong with that. Although the battery is pretty large, I'm not seeing great battery life compared to the S8 or Pixel. I get around 4 to 5 hours of screen on time tops, but I'm topping it off at night. Although charging it becomes a lot easier with dash charging. It's the fastest charging I've ever seen. You plug it in for 10-15 minutes and you get tons of battery life, and then you're pretty much good to go for the rest of the night. But I just wished it still had a couple things like water resistance and also wireless charging. They are saying the phone does have unsupported waterproofing. And usually what that means is that the manufacturer tried to add waterproofing but didn't get certification for it. So I wouldn't use it. That's just me. You also do not have SD support, which isn't a big deal for me as I have the 128, but I do like to see an SD card slot in some of my phones, especially like the S8. It brought the SD card slot back, and a lot of people are happy. People like to store a lot of their pictures and videos there and don't really want to choose what to delete and what to keep and things like that. This phone only has a 1080p screen too. As phones have 1440p screens, which is pretty much the standard for flagships, it is definitely a downgrade, but overall, I don't miss the 1440p screen. I think at this size, it just doesn't matter that much. Pixel quality and screen text makes more of an impact, and we're seeing that here with the AMOLED display. Sure, when you go into YouTube and watch my video that's in 4K, you can't click on 1440p, but seriously, it looks pretty much the same. Overall, this is the OnePlus 5, and there's good reason this phone is highly exalted by many people. And there's a reason that people stand in line for OnePluses and not Samsung. Now, beyond the phone, what OnePlus does well is drive hype. They're really good at that. I mean, they have people waiting in line for their phones. They have people literally driving across the country to go to one of their events to have a chance to buy the phone early. It's just amazing how OnePlus does that. So that's just huge in this type of market, something that Samsung can't even do. So OnePlus has that part figured out. They have marketing figured out. They may not hit the mark every single time, but they figured out something well. But this is the OnePlus 5, and there's a good reason. There's a lot of fanfare behind this phone. It's a very good phone, and it's a phone that I'm actually using right now. I put down my S8 for it, and I did put down the Pixel for a little bit, and I'm just using this phone. I'm really enjoying myself with it. So if you have the budget, $479 or $536 if you want to get the big dog, this is probably one of the better phones to get. I'm Kevin the Tech Ninja. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and leave a comment. I'll talk to you guys later.